Coach, how do I fix my swing?
Back elbow up, don't turn your head. Swing level.
Okay, coach.
Fact. Baseball is the most incorrectly taught game in all of youth team sports. And hitting is the most incorrectly taught aspect in all of youth baseball. So when you see hitting videos on the internet, how do you know if it can be trusted? In this video, I'm gonna teach you.
Detective, you? Not you, you! Who? You! Who?
You how to level up your hitting instructor skills. Yes, you. You'll learn what's true information versus misinformation about hitting. So by the end of this video, you'll have a new superpower as a coach. Are you ready? Here's a swing. Is it good or bad? What part is good and what part is bad? Here's another swing. Is it good or bad? What was good about it and what was bad about it? How would you know? What if I disagreed with you? Is this good or bad? And how do you know? Now, leveling up your hitting instructor skills is going to be as easy as 1, 2, 3. Steps 1 and 2 are easy. Watch out for step 3, though. It's a doozy. Kind of like meeting the ghost of Christmas past and the ghost of Christmas present in A Christmas Carol. We're the easiest of the 3 ghosts for Ebenezer Scrooge to meet. But the ghost of Christmas future, he was a doozy. But don't worry, I'll walk you all the way through. Let me show you. The first thing to do to level up your hitting instructor skills is to know the standard for hitting. Know what's good hitting versus what's bad hitting. What's misinformation and what's true information. For example, if I was the accountant for my company, how would you know if I was doing good accounting or bad accounting? Are there standards to compare to? There actually are. They're called generally accepted accounting principles. Sorry, flashbacks to college. Anyway, if there are standards for the thing you're doing, you want to follow them. For legal issues, the standard for Americans is the US Constitution. For Christian theological issues, the standard is the Bible. So what's the standard in baseball? You don't want to just take the advice of some random hitting instructor. What if he's wrong? How would you even know if he's right or wrong? What if one guy says swing level and the other guy says swing slightly up? Is there a standard for hitting? Actually, there is. In baseball, the standard is whatever all the best players in the world consistently do. So learn from the standard. Be like Dr. Strange. The standard for the mystic arts was in the books in the library at Cambridge, so he studied as much as he could. For you, don't study just any swings. Instead, you want to focus on home run swings, because home run swings are the most productive swings. So study videos of home run swings by elite MLB hitters. The best place to go? Right here on YouTube. And I'll give you step-by-step instructions on what to do on YouTube in just a few minutes. So, you know that step 1 to level up your hitting instructor skills is to learn from the standard. And you also now know that you need to study home run swing videos on YouTube. But, what are we looking for in these videos? Well, that brings us to step 2. The second step to level up your hitting coach skills is to slow down time. Be like Quicksilver. No, not like the Flash, because the actor for Flash was all weird. Plus, he was a criminal. And no, don't be like this MCU version of Quicksilver, because he was lame. He couldn't even last through the end of the movie that he was introduced in. No, this Quicksilver, he's cool. Anyway, the reason to slow down time is because the batting swing is too fast in real time for the human eye to spot if any part of the swing is bad. Even youth swings are too fast to analyze in real time. So here's what to do. First, type in the name of an elite hitter in YouTube and add the words slow motion home run in your search. If you can't find the slow motion video of a particular hitter's home run swing, you can still use a regular speed home run swing video if you can get a clip from the side view and then just switch the playback speed on the video to 0.25. You can also play a video on YouTube in regular speed, pause it when you're ready to slow down the video, and then use the comma and period keys on your keyboard to advance through the video frame by frame. And that is step 2. So, to level up your hitting coach skills, we said step 1 is to learn the standard, and step 2 is to get slow motion videos of home run swings. Beautiful. Now, step 3 is study the videos. Be like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. Analyze and research. But the million-dollar question is, how? What are you looking for when you're analyzing a swing? Don't worry, I'll guide you through it. Right, Jarvis? To analyze the swing, there are 5 checkpoints during the swing that you need to look at. For this hitting tutorial, I'm going to YouTube to look at some of the best hitters in baseball throughout different eras. So for the first checkpoint, let's look at Aaron Judge, Sammy Sosa, and Mike Schmidt. You might think the first checkpoint is the batting stance, but you'd be wrong. If we look at the various elite MLB hitters, the first thing we notice is that they all have different stances. Aaron Judge is slightly open with a slight hip hinge. Sammy Sosa is neutral with a big hip hinge. Mike Schmidt is closed and very upright. So the stance is not a checkpoint, and we can exclude stances as fundamental to the high-level swing. Most people who say,
"Get the back elbow up,"
when their kid is in his batting stance, probably know very little about how hitting works because the stance doesn't matter. Now, there is an exception for certain youth hitters, and I'll explain why in just a minute. After the stance comes the load and stride phase of the swing, and this phase starts when the batter makes his first move out of the batting stance and ends when the heel of the stride foot plants, not the front toe. There are 2 checkpoints during this phase. The load is checkpoint number 1. Here's what to look for in checkpoint number 1. Let's look at 3 more hitters from different eras to show you something interesting. How about some lefties this time? We'll look at Shohei Ohtani, Jim Thome, and Reggie Jackson. Again, notice how they each have different stances. Now notice they all pull their hands back as they stride forward. And this is what some people call a pullback. This is good. The key to a good pullback is that the back arm is in the flex position, like you're flexing your muscle, or what I call the power V position. This is a really strong position. Some hitting coaches may add a knee bend or a slight counter hip rotation to the load stride sequence, but not every great hitter does that, so I personally would not call that an absolute. It's more of a preference. Now, one of the things to watch when young hitters try to do a pullback is that they don't straighten one or both of their arms in the process. Maybe it's because their young arms are shorter than adult arms, or maybe because youth hitters feel that it's stronger to lock their arms straight, but that's called armbar, and we do not want to do that. Armbar creates tension and makes our swing longer, which in turn makes our swing slower. For each of the checkpoints, I'm going to tell you some incorrect things to look out for also, and I'll color code them on the screen so you'll know the degree of harmfulness that they are to an elite swing. Red means significantly harmful, orange means moderately harmful, and yellow means mildly harmful. So for this load checkpoint, here are some things to look for in a youth hitter's swing that are bad. No pullback and front arm armbar. Now, the end of the stride is when the heel of their front foot lands after the stride, and this is also checkpoint number 2, front heel plant. It's important to distinguish the front heel landing from landing on the balls of their front foot. Just as Justin Stone, the hitting director for the Chicago Cubs, explains in episodes 115 and 116 of the Youth Baseball Edge podcast, power is derived from the front heel, not from the balls of the front foot. Not surprisingly, there are some who teach differently, which I say is not surprising because I keep saying baseball is the most mistaught game in all of youth sports, and I'll explain that in a different video. Now we're still at the second checkpoint, which is the front heel plant. I haven't told you yet what to look for when the front heel plants, so let's talk about that now. But let's look at 3 more hitters from different eras just so you can see how all these different hitters look the same at this checkpoint. Let's look at Bryce Harper, Barry Bonds, and Babe Ruth. So at this front heel plant checkpoint, you're looking for 3 things. The bat is generally pointing back somewhere in the vicinity of the catcher. But for many youth players, they already have started bringing their bat forward when their front heel hits the ground, which is not good. Notice the batter is evenly balanced in his weight, 50-50 between front leg and back leg, just like Doug Latta taught us in the Youth Baseball podcast. And again, there are some who will teach that you swing from the back leg. And again, I addressed that in another video, but as you can see for yourself, swinging from the back leg is not true. Also, notice the batter still has the power V in the back arm. Now, remember when I said the stance doesn't matter, but there is one exception for certain youth hitters? Because the stance doesn't matter. Now, there is an exception for certain youth hitters, and I'll explain why in just a minute. The exception is, if the youth hitter really struggles to get into the correct position in checkpoint number 2 from the batting stance, then you will want to force the kid to get into a batting stance that is as close as possible to the correct checkpoint 2 position,
like back elbow up,
in order to minimize the moves that the kid needs to remember and make during the load and stride to get into the correct position at checkpoint number 2 from the stance. But if the kid can get into the correct position at checkpoint number 2 from the stance, then as I said before, the batting stance doesn't matter. Things to look for in a youth hitter swing that are bad in this front heel plant checkpoint: the bat has already come forward a lot, weight is not balanced, like he's lunging forward or he's leaning back, and arm bar. Okay, so the hitter was in their stance and then did their load and stride. After the stride is the first move into the launch phase of the swing. And this first move after planting the front heel is checkpoint number 3, what I call the first move. This is critical. The majority of swing flaws happens here. Here's what to look for in checkpoint number 3. And let's look at 3 more hitters from different eras. How about Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, and Hank Aaron? At this first move checkpoint, you are again looking for 3 things. Dropping their back shoulder, getting palm up, palm down near their back shoulder or no further than the middle of their chest, and that the bat head is pointing down or level to the ground and stays tight to their back shoulder. The vast majority of youth coaches teach not to drop the back shoulder. Unfortunately, they're all wrong. Every high-level hitter we've seen so far, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Albert Pujols, Hank Aaron, Mike Schmidt, Reggie Jackson, Alex Rodriguez, Jim Thome, and everyone else who we'll see in a minute, they all drop their back shoulder on their first move to launch. Always, every hitter. Now, things to look for in a youth hitter swing that are bad in this first move checkpoint: hands that are too far forward, arm bar, which is also known as disconnection, and that the bat head is pointing up. The next phase is the swing, and this entire phase is checkpoint number 4, and it starts during the rest of the launch phase until just before the point of contact with the ball. For this checkpoint, let's look at Joey Votto, Ken Griffey Jr., and Ted Williams. At this checkpoint, you are looking for 2 things: connection and the front leg locking up. Let's start with the connection part of this checkpoint. The hips, shoulders, and bat rotate together the entire time during the swing, and the bat stays connected to the back shoulder as long as possible. The second part of this checkpoint is the front leg locking. Now, as the batter rotates, his front leg starts to straighten out in order to brace the energy coming up from the ground, block it from leaking out the front knee, and send that energy up the kinetic chain. If the batter has a bent front knee, he is losing power because the energy from the ground is looking for the weakest point in the kinetic chain to leak out. So that's why we lock the front leg. Now, things to look for in a youth hitter swing that are bad in this swing checkpoint: disconnection, which is a big problem, arm straightening out, also known as arm bar, and the front leg not straightening. The final checkpoint, or checkpoint number 5, is the point of contact. For this checkpoint, let's look at Miguel Cabrera, Nolan Arenado, and Willie Mays. At this checkpoint, you are looking for 3 things. His entire front chest is now facing the pitcher. His power V is now a power L, and his front leg is straight with his back foot up on the toe. As a side note, the back toe should go up on the toes automatically if the batter is rotating his hips fast enough. So the back foot is not a teach, fast hip rotation is the actual teach. And things to look for in a youth hitter swing that are bad in this point of contact checkpoint: the front chest stopped rotating too early, arm extension at the point of contact, a bent front leg, and the back foot not up on the toe. And that's it. It sounds like a lot, but once you do it a few times, it's actually pretty intuitive. So now you know the standard of what the proper high-level swing is. So congratulations, you've just seriously leveled up in your hitting coach skills, and you are a Youth Baseball Edge qualified hitting coach for your team. So what now? You're gonna be like Peter Quill